The amphibious assault of Operation Overlord, called Neptune, targeted 5 sectors on the Normandy coast, 3 in the eastern British Task Force area and 2 in the western United States Task Force area. The method of landing on each beach was that a single division would make the initial assault, reinforced by a special service unit of commandos or rangers, with the flanks to be secured by pre-dawn landings of the 6th British and 82nd and 101st US Airborne Divisions. So-called gap-filling between beaches was to be left to follow up formations. Forces on Sword and Juno beaches were made up of elements of the British 1st Corps. Force S for Sword Beach embarked from Portsmouth, Newhaven and Shoreham, consisting of the 8th, 9th and 185th Brigades, plus 41 and 45 Royal Marines, with 3 French and No. 3, 4 and 6 Army Commandos, with the 27th Armoured Brigade making a total of roughly 29,000 troops. Force J landing on Juno Beach left from Portsmouth and Southampton, assembling in the Solent and off Spithead. They were made up of the 3rd Canadian Division of the 7th, 8th and 9th Canadian Brigades, plus 48 Royal Marine Commando, as well as the 2nd Canadian Armoured Brigade, almost 21,400 troops. The British 30th Corps made up Force G, destined for Gold Beach. They also left from Southampton and assembled in the Solent and off Spithead. They were made up of the 50th Division, consisting of the 56th, 69th, 151st and 231st Brigades, plus 47 Royal Marine Commando and the 8th Armoured Brigade, roughly 25,000 troops, making a total of 75,215 British and Commonwealth troops on D-Day. The United States 5th Corps made up Force U for Utah Beach. They left from Torquay, Brixham, Dartmouth in the West Country, and consisted of the 4th US Division, 8th, 22nd, 12th, 359th Infantry, and the 70th Tank Regiment, plus Rangers, making roughly 23,000 troops. The US 7th Corps made up Force O, landing on Omaha Beach. They embarked from Weymouth and Portland. This unit consisted of the 1st Division, including the 16th, 18th, 26th, 115th, 116th Regimental Combat Teams, plus the 2nd and 5th Ranger Battalions of approximately 34,000, making a rough total of 130,000 Allied troops that needed safe passage across the English Channel. It was agreed beforehand that the assault troops, who would suffer most casualties, should be distributed evenly amongst the Allies, as it was realised that subsequently the success of the Second Front would depend on the intervention of the United States, with over 2 million GIs leaving from the port of Southampton alone. At the operational level on D-Day, the Allies needed to convince the Germans that the main landing would occur at the Pas de Calais. The deception plan, Operation Fortitude, involved the use of double agents, fake radio traffic, fictitious units, to convince the enemy that the main landings would take place in the northernmost France. What is not generally appreciated is that the deception was predicated on a misconception in the German High Command, fueled by their own propaganda, that the principal invasion port, Southampton, was finished by the Luftwaffe Blitz in 1939-40. A little-known fact is that the port of Southampton was closed for 2 years to non-essential traffic, and at the time the UK government was so concerned that they sent Wing Commander Hodsall to investigate. His report was scathing. In an attempt to rewrite history, future generations have claimed that when the war was declared on the United States, Southampton was recommended as a possible base for operations at an early stage. In reality, the British advised against the idea, fearing another visit from the Luftwaffe might mean an early exit for their newfound allies. It was in spite of these reservations that the US Army set up headquarters in a wing of the Civic Centre, a building already hit twice during the early bombing. Once again, fortune was to favour the brave, as the build-up of forces at the port occurred in plain sight of the enemy, who never suspected the role of Southampton was about to play. As Admiral Ramsay makes clear in his official report on Operation Neptune, the headquarters for the build-up and control organisation, known as BUCO, needed close and continuous control in the early stages of Operation Neptune to maintain the tempo of landings, and as Major General Sir Nigel Holmes stated in 1945, without Southampton we could not have done D-Day. Poor weather conditions actually came to the aid of the Allies, leading the Germans to believe that no landings would occur in early June. In the early morning hours, waves of troops began landing on the beaches. To the east, the British and Canadians came ashore on Gold, Juno and Sword beaches. After overcoming initial resistance, they were able to move inland, although only the Canadians were able to reach their D-Day objectives. Though Montgomery had ambitiously hoped to take the city of Caen on D-Day, it would not fall to British forces for several weeks. On Utah Beach, the U.S. 4th Infantry Division fortuitously landed in the wrong place due to strong tidal currents. The division suffered only 197 casualties, the lightest of any of the beaches. Quickly moving inland, the members of the 4th Infantry linked up with elements of the 101st Airborne and began moving toward their objectives. To the west, the 2nd Ranger Battalion suffered heavy casualties, but succeeded in scaling and capturing Point de Hoc. On Omaha Beach, the situation was very different, as the ramps of the landing craft dropped. Those that did reach the beach were subjected to murderous fire. Soldiers of the 1st and 29th Divisions were soon pinned down by heavy fire. Entire units were wiped out before they were able to fire a shot. Nonetheless, after suffering nearly 2,500 casualties, groups of GIs acting independently, in many cases without the direction of officers, already killed in action, were able to break through the defences, opening the way for successive waves. Allied forces' casualties on D-Days numbered over 10,000, yet although the positions still remained precarious, by nightfall on the 6th of June they had established themselves in Normandy.